I'm Tom Guerin, Executive Director of the Kansas City Streetcar Authority. And it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to what will be truly a historic day in our city's history as we usher in a new era for our downtown. I'm pleased to introduce our Mayor, Sly James, to the podium to formally welcome our federal partners.
You know, isn't it amazing that every time we seem to gather down here, something really cool is happening? The last time, I think we had about 800,000 of our really close friends, right? This is really great. I have to tell you, this is one of the best mornings that I've had in my adult life here in Kansas City. And we are very blessed that in 2013, Department of Transportation Secretary Anthony Fox, who himself was a former mayor, see, mayors kind of get this stuff, came right here to Union Station to announce that we were going to receive the largest Tiger grant that year and the only one for streetcar in the amount of $20 million. That has to tell you something. That was a proud moment for our city. That was a critical milestone in the formation of our downtown streetcar. And from the very beginning, our federal partners understood what this project really means to the residents and visitors and people of Kansas City and to our future. A few weeks ago, I had the very distinct pleasure of being invited to the World Economic Forum on urban mobility. Let me tell you, when you talk to people around the world about mobility and transit in urban settings, we've got a great start and got a great way to go. But there's all of those opportunities are out there because of our federal partners. They've tried and always appreciated the impact of multimodal, dynamic transportation systems and what that can do to a community. And they've worked alongside us to find ways to foster intergovernmental collaboration. So here with us today, representing the U.S. Department of Transportation and the FTA, is Carolyn Flowers, the acting administrator of the Federal Transit Administration. I'd really like to thank her for joining us today and to invite her up to say a few words. Carolyn?
I just want to say that part of what we're doing here today is recognizing and celebrating a great project. As Mayor James said, you need champions, you need community support. So I'd like to ask you all to give yourself applause for what you've done here and what you've achieved here in Kansas City. And I'd like to also thank Mayor James for his leadership. And without a champion, you cannot make these projects move. So I would say that Mayor James has the right vision for transportation in this city and interconnected systems that give people options and helps build ladders of opportunity throughout the region. It's a vision that I know many of you share. The city here has also been recognized as a smart city finalist, and the streetcar is already an anchor for more than $1 billion in new construction, and it's going to be easy to hop on and off. It's going to provide a predictable route. It's going to go back and forth, and it's going to be friendly to residents, office workers, and especially visitors who probably have no idea where Route 183 or 37X will take them, but they'll know where the streetcar is going to take them. So if you're worried that the streetcar is slower than other forms of transit or travels on a fixed route, you've missed the point. That's the strength. Public transportation is not a choice between one thing or the other. In fact, we need a wide array of transit options if we're going to keep Kansas City and other American cities mobile in the decades to come. So Kansas City is a finalist in the Smart City Challenge. It's an effort to find the right mid-sized American city to try out new approaches and new technologies that will result in transportation system that's better connected and easier to use. Kansas City has made a strong case for why this is a great city for innovation, and I wish you luck as the competition moves forward. Today, we're launching a critical part of the interconnected system, a way to travel that in the past was very familiar in the city, but one that's been missing for over 60 years. In fact, when they began tearing up the streets to build this new line, do you know what they found? They found tracks. Yes, they found the way to the old system under the asphalt. So after World War II, as the automobile became more affordable and easier to own and operate, America began its love affair with the car. And I know about that love affair because I grew up in Los Angeles. So over time, the streetcar rails were literally paved over to make room for automobiles, and what was once a most extensive streetcar system in the country became a fond memory. And so what did we lose? Well, here and across the country, we lost the vibrancy of America downtowns. We also lost the freedom of choice. While we gained a lot from the added mobility that automobiles bring, we spent decades overinvesting in the infrastructure to support them at the expense of other modes of travel. We have become like a proverbial carpenter who, having only a hammer, sees the only problem as a nail. So we gave up the ability to solve the essential problem of human mobility with a full range of tools. And that means we also lost the mobility to choose where to live a full, engaging life and in the suburbs, in downtown, and any communities nestled in between. And so today we're restoring that balance. And although every mode of transportation seeks to move people safely and reliably, they're not all the same. Some, like rail transit, take you farther, faster. Some, like traditional bus service, make many convenient stops throughout the city. The unique benefit, though, of streetcars is that they extend the walkability of neighborhoods up and down the line. So, as we open this streetcar today in Kansas City, it's going to be anchored by more than $1 billion in new construction, with more to come. Because it's easy to hop on and off and travels a predictable route, it's friendlier for everyone. And so we're here today to celebrate the opening of a wonderful new line, and we're all working to reinvest in transit so that we can see the resurgence of downtowns and see the highest ridership that we've seen nationally since the 1950s. That's not only in traditional transit towns, but also in cities that are awfully fond of their cars and trucks, like Dallas, Phoenix, and Los Angeles. I believe that Kansas City will be a model with its vision and commitment, and I want to thank you, and I can't wait to ride your beautiful new streetcar.
It is my pleasure to introduce President and CEO of Union Station, George Guastello.
Thank you, Tom. Wow, this is a Chamber of Commerce day, would you not agree? And they happen to be a tenant. So, on behalf of Union Station Board of Directors, our amazing staff, our professional team, and all of our volunteers, welcome to Kansas City's front porch and Kansas City's Civic Center for celebration. You know, well over 100 years ago, a group of visionary railroaders came together along with civic and business leaders to create this 20th century hub for transportation and commerce. The community came together and invested nearly $6 million at that time. Amazing amount of money, and over $50 million of infrastructure to create this Kansas City monument. So over the next 80 years, we saw great highs and we saw great lows. And times have changed. And ending up that this building sat dormant for a very long time. amazingly now, 20 years to the date in November of this year, the community again came together in a union to save this magnificent building. It came together with public, private, and federal dollars with a vision for the future. Today, over 20 years later, it has spawned significant economic development in this region, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Today, you sit at the 21st Century Center now for commerce and science and entrepreneurship, and most importantly, a place for civic celebration, and most importantly, transportation is now back to Union Station, and it is a hub. It took bold leadership 100 years ago to create this building, but today we have bold leadership in our mayor and our city manager and the former council and today's council and civic and business leaders to take us to the new future. We are proud to be the host of the opening of this streetcar. Finally, let me invite you back to your home this weekend. Enjoy the fun and the beauty that you created, and take a glance at the nearly $7 million worth of investment that we are making in Union Station to make it better for our community. It's an honor for all of you to be at your home and celebrate this great day. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Up next, I would like to introduce Michael Hagedorn, President and CEO of UMB Bank and Chairman of the Streetcar Authority Board of Directors.
Morning, everybody. Is it a great day in Kansas City? Huh? Let's hear it. On behalf of the Kansas City Streetcar Authority Board of Directors, I want to thank you all for coming this morning. Board members, would you please stand and be recognized for all of your hard work and support? Thank you. Thank you. Before I begin, I want to take this opportunity to recognize and thank our founding board chairman and chairman emeritus and my friend, Tom Trabon, who is no longer with us. Tom had a belief, a vision, and a drive to make downtown Kansas City great. His vision included a modern rail transit line that would better connect us and would better seed continued growth and vitality for years to come. Honestly, we are here today in large part because Tom was willing to fight to realize this vision, as he so often did with the things that he cared about. Tom laid the groundwork for the Kansas City Streetcar Authority Board, for our vision for what this project could be and would become, and for the important role downtown and private business should play in helping to make it all happen. Thank you to Tom and his family. You should all be very proud. Let's give them a round of applause. Speaking on behalf of the Authority Board and downtown business community, I want to thank Mayor James and City Manager Troy Schulte for their vision, their belief in the importance of this investment, and for your continued partnership and support along the way. This project represents a true public-private partnership, unlike any we have seen. It is fair to say that we would not have the quality of the project, the financial backing, or the long-term support of downtown business without this partnership. It should give us all confidence that as we move into public operations and look to what the future has in store for all of us. This project represents an important new connection between our downtown centers. It will connect our historic Union Station, our Crossroads Arts and Innovation District, the Power and Light District, the Convention Center and Kauffman Center for the Performing Arts, our downtown financial district, and our historic city market. This project will connect and redefine our downtown like never before. This project also very much represents a framework for the growth of our downtown for years to come. The cranes, the investment activity, they are no accident. We are positioning ourselves for the future, and the streetcar is a big part of that vision. Today we celebrate the work of many. Thank you all. Look to those on the stage for your tireless efforts and years of hard work in this process. The end result, the quality of the project, and what it means for the city's future is something that we should all be very proud of. Thank you again for your support of the streetcar and for the ongoing revitalization of our downtown Kansas City. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Well, this has been a long and winding road. It is important that we look back, that we take pride in what has been accomplished, and that we recognize the many who helped us get us to this day. Obviously, the stage isn't big enough to hold the numbers of folks who've touched this project. And so let me just share a very brief story. 5 years ago, there was a general vision for rail transit downtown. Downtown residents, neighborhood associations, and businesses had developed the Greater Downtown Area Plan that included aspirations of a downtown rail spine. Conversations then started to begin, spearheaded by then Councilman Russ Johnson, about how we might learn from past failures and move forward on a rail transit project in downtown once and for all. These conversations were quickly supported by City Council, and specifically by Jan Markison and Jim Glover, who played key roles in advancing related land use policies and changes that would help capitalize on economic development that we hoped would come. At the same time, Jackson County was starting to pick up steam as it relates to conversations around a regional commuter rail system. This work was being led by a vocal and energetic county executive in Mike Sanders, who believed in the power of public transportation to transform our communities. An opportunity presented itself to secure federal planning funds to advance both streetcar and commuter rail efforts simultaneously. And with the help of the Mid-America Regional Council, a partnership was formed between the city, the county, the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority, and the Mid-America Regional Council to advance planning on both fronts. Planning funds were secured and the wheels of progress began to turn. A local advocacy group called the Streetcar Neighbors was formed by David Johnson and Matt Staub. And they went door to door, touting the vision of downtown and building a grassroots base of support that would be critical for seeing this project to realization. Our planning consultant, HDR, was actually being led by now Mayor of Portland, Charlie Hales, and they were hired on as our formal lead engineer and designer on the streetcar project. And thank you, Mayor, for coming to Kansas City if you're in the audience today. So HDR was on board to lead the design and engineering efforts, and local votes were cast, and critical local and federal funding was secured. Thank you again to FTA and our federal delegation for bringing those resources. The city then hired the KC Streetcar constructors, which was a joint venture of Stacy Whitbeck and Herzog, to build this amazing project. They compiled a team of national and local expertise, laborers, and with the help of local unions, they trained and employed 1,200 employees and workers during this time frame. Modern cutting-edge CAF streetcar vehicles were ordered, and Herzog Transit Services was brought on board by the Streetcar Authority in the city to bring national rail operations and maintenance experience to our city and our system. And lastly, an opportunity was seized, in large part to the work of City Manager Schulte, to integrate smart city technology into investments that were being made downtown and seize the opportunity to make this the most modern and cutting-edge transit corridor in the country. And needless to say, we have a lot of thank yous to go around, too many to in fact name. But thank you to the mayor, thank you to the city council, the authority board, Russ Johnson, and others for true leadership and vision and moving this project forward and doing the right thing and sometimes doing the hard thing. Thank you to Troy Schulte and Sherry McIntyre and Ralph Davis and Jason Waldron for bringing expertise to the project. that's fundamentally necessary. I will tell you from the authority's perspective that it has been an honor to work with city staff on this project, and they don't get enough credit for the amazing work that they do, and you all should be very proud of the expertise. These folks could work anywhere in the country, and they're working here because they care about this city, and they're bringing the very best to the project. So thank you all. Thank you again to FTA support and to MoDOT support. Thank you to David Johnson and Matt Staub for rallying local advocates and neighbors to realize the vision for what downtown should and would become and will become. Thank you to our constructors and our Herzog Transit operators. Thank you to KCATA and Mark for an amazing regional partnership, and specifically Robbie Makinen and the support of the Authority Board for their support and their technical expertise and guidance along the way. Thank you to Downtown Council. Thank you to downtown businesses and residents for sticking with us through this thick and thin. We are going to reap the rewards of a great project. And thank you to my own staff and the Streetcar Authority, Donald Mandelbaum and Ebony Jackson, for making us all look really, really good. So bottom line is these projects do not happen without strong and unwavering support. Thank you all, for those named and unnamed, for the roles that you've played. They've all been incredibly important. And while it takes a coalition of support, it does, at the end of the day, take true leadership and vision. And we are very fortunate to have both of those qualities in spades with our Mayor Sly James. So with that, I'm pleased to introduce Mayor Sly James.
You know, before I get started, I want to point something out. We have over here, off to my right and to your left, a group of kids from Academy Lafayette, brought here by their teachers so that they could understand the interplay of government and what goes on in cities and how all of those things mesh together. So thank you, teachers, for that insight. Thanks, kids, for being here. I also want to thank Tom for destroying the list of people that I was supposed to thank, so I'm going to have to kind of figure this out on the run. But there's really no shortage of people that need to be thanked, and I'm going to tell you now, I know that between all of us, we're going to forget somebody. Let me tell you, it's not a slight. It's not anything more than looking through lists and lists and lists of names until your eyes bleed and trying to pull them out and do it in a way that doesn't make this last until 3 o'clock this afternoon. But I tell you what, Tom and his team have done such a tremendous job with this. They talked me off of a ledge when I was fighting to have this open by the Big 12, and they were right. They were 100% correct. This is far better because although it would have been neat to have the Big 12 people riding up and down, it wouldn't have been Kansas City, you know? This is something that we get to share as a family. We can invite the visitors over a little bit later, but right now it's family time, and we want to make sure of that. So I want to thank you. One thing that I want to say about the last council that I work with, and I'll talk about our current council as well in some respects about this, but our last council, coming off of the experiences they had in their first 4 years, were absolutely keyed in on tackling some of the big issues that confronted this city. And I can't tell you how happy I was and how proud I was to work with them as we all got started on that. And this project wouldn't have happened without that council, and it certainly wouldn't have happened without the work of Russ Johnson, who was really extremely instrumental in everything. You've heard mention of David Johnson and Matt Staub, but they were people who really were the ground troops, went door to door, getting signatures notarized, getting ballots taken care of. They were the ones who made sure that this came off. They're the ones who have a true passion for this, among others, of course, but they have a true passion for what we're doing. They've been tremendous partners, friends, and workers. I have a special relationship with our city manager. Before anybody starts getting weird, it ain't like that. I mean, after all, look at him now. But when you work with somebody that you trust and you can have conversations with, and we can disagree, we can agree, but we're always focused on how do we get something done in this city. I've had a tremendous opportunity to work with a guy that I think may be the best city manager in this country. He does the things that make this city sing and dance. You know, we've got design teams, architects, constructors, all sorts of people who were involved in putting this together. And thanks to each and every one of them. I'll name them as a group because to try to name all the individuals in those groups that did something would take forever. But know how much we appreciate the hometown talent and the hometown attitude that went into making this work. The streetcar constructors were great. I also want to thank Jermaine Reed, who was chair of Transportation and Infrastructure, and the other representatives from the 4th District. Jolie Justice is here. Jolie is a great champion for the 4th District. And then Scott Taylor is here as well from the 6th District. And these are two people that are go-to council people when you want to get things done. I don't see some of our other folks. Wave if you're here. Where's Scott? Oh, Scott's back here. My Mayor Pro Tem. I probably shouldn't forget him. And Jermaine, where are you? There he is. Yeah, right, in the tent. Herzog Transit was great, but I want to tell you something, and this is something for the kids at Academy Lafayette. Herzog was a construction company, the contractors who were hired to do this job. But you know what they did? What they did was they got involved in the city. So now they're helping us take down and demolish dangerous buildings. And they're doing it at no cost to the city. It's good to see Charlie Hales and his lovely wife here from Portland. Charlie, once again, we know that mayors get it. And thank you for being here, and thank you for everything you did. George Guastello, Mike Hagedorn, fabulous people to work with on everything that we do. Mati Ahmad, our FTA Region 7 director, couldn't have done it without him. A man who has a responsibility of making sure that the federal regulations are followed, the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, but did it in such an easygoing way that he made it an absolute pleasure to get through the process and get this up and running. Then we have Al Landis from Herzog, and I want to have special thanks to Senators Bond, Senator McCaskill, Senator Blunt for their help on the federal level. Congressman Cleaver was engaged on every step, and the Jackson County Legislature and Frank White, the new executive, thank you for everything that you did. I also want to thank John McGurk, who was my chief of staff in my first term, who worked on this tirelessly and deserves a lot of credit because he explained some things to me that it took me a while to get. But he was fabulous, and he's here, and thank you, John, for everything. Just two more. Donna Mandelbaum. Donna, thank you for adding this frosty tie to my bow tie collection. I love it. Thank you very much. And if you'll bear with me for just one moment, I need to thank what I consider to be the best mayoral staff of any place in the country. My staff has, every one of them, been engaged in this project in some extent. Kelly's right over here. Kelly has been organizing and running around like a crazy person for weeks now. She's the one that came up with, I think, it's about to get rail. No, it wasn't you. I'm going to stop giving you credit for it then. But I'll tell you what, without the staff that I've been fortunate and blessed enough to have, a lot of things wouldn't get done. And it's not every day that you get to stand up in front of a crowd and celebrate a project like this. Believe me, I know. These are few and far between events and days in the life of a mayor, but because of that infrequency, they're all the more special. But this is a project that is one of the most significant milestones in this city in generations. And it's something that we can't doubt. All these kids over here from Academy Lafayette, think about it from their eyes. They probably never ridden on a streetcar before, and I know they've never ridden on in Kansas City before. So this is a new experience for them that they're growing up with. It's kind of like watching the Royals win the World Series. That's a new experience for you, too. So when I look around and I'm trying to take all of this in, doing my best, I see a lot of people who believed that this day would come. And they worked hard to make sure that it did. And they believed in something that was challenging, something that was risky, but they followed through because they were convinced. They also understood that if we are going to be the city that we are now and will continue to grow into, you have to be bold. You know, if you can't run with the big dogs, go on home. With this project, we've witnessed new life being breathed into our city, and we've established a conduit and a pattern for changing the way that we live, work, and play. With this project, we're providing a structure to critical functions in our city and for the critical function of the heart of this city. Our businesses, our entertainment, and our restaurants, but most of all, our people are connected and we're innovating. And when we're transforming not just what our city looks like, but how we operate, that's when we thrive and that's when we grow. We're celebrating over $1.7 billion of economic development in the Transportation Development District that created this streetcar line. That's nothing to sneeze at. Was everything done because of it? No. Was there a heck of a lot done because of it? Yeah. And there's a heck of a lot more coming, and you gotta love it. I get around a lot, and I bump into a lot of people that I talk to, and I can't tell you how many times I've heard from people from Overland Park or Johnson County or elsewhere that are moving into the core of downtown because they like what's going on. They're empty nesters. They're moving back to where things are happening. Everybody recognizes, I think, that this is a place where we're getting edgy, where we're creating some vibe, and we're being attractive to a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons. We're seeing neighborhoods come back. We're seeing schools crop up downtown. We've got restaurants and businesses and startups popping up just about everywhere. We're providing free public Wi-Fi with Cisco and Sprint. And more than anything, we see our city and our residents holding their heads up high. I don't know about you, but I'll say it again because I've said it 1,000 times, but if you can't love Kansas City right now, you never have and you never will. This is a project that we can all be proud of. It's a critical milestone on our path to competing with the major cities in this country. We're already doing that. We are one of 7 finalists for a $50 million DOT Smart Cities grant. That didn't happen by accident. That happened because we deserve to be a finalist for that grant. But you know, we're not here celebrating the end of a project. On the contrary, come on by. On the contrary, we're here today to launch a new phase in the life of Kansas City. We're celebrating a return to the heart of the city, the lifeblood of the community. And we're laying that was just their way of saying hi. And we're laying the foundation for the next 50 years. You've heard me talk about building a city for the future. Everything that we do is building a city for the future. We have to be thinking about what do we need to have in place 10, 15, 20, 25, 50 years from now. And this is certainly one of them. That's why it needs to be expanded. But I see it as much more than that. I know a lot of people say it's just 2 miles of rail, but I see it as a lot more than that. There's a lot of people here today who see it as a lot more than that as well. That's especially true of business owners who put up with it for a long time while it was getting done. We thank them from the bottom of our hearts for their patience and engagement. So you've all heard that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one simple step. So today is that step. This is the moment when a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice, a lot of excitement reaches a crescendo and spills over into the streets of downtown. And the city is going to feel it. This is our moment. This is something that will transform the way that we think about things and something that will lead us on to greater and bigger tasks and projects in front of us. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to say at this very moment, it's time to ride KC. All right. So it's time to ride KC, but here's something. I'm going to select a few people to ride with me on this first ride. So, lady right there in purple. Yes, ma'am. You. And there's a nice man there with a baseball cap on, and there's a lady and two kids sitting right behind him. So would you three and this lady, you can ride with me on this first ride if you'd like to. This is an exciting and fantastic day. When we work together, we get big things done, and this is a huge thing.